I opened my door to find a full police force, an enraged HOA president, and an accusation that I was the squatter. My quiet life was shattered when she tried to turn my home into her luxury rental empire. But the truth was about, imagine my shock, my utter disbelief, when a booming voice from a bullhorn shattered the peaceful Saturday morning silence. "Open the door, sir, or we will break it down." I peered through my cabin window, a mug of soothing chamomile tea in hand, little owl socks on my feet, only to see 3 squad cars, an HOA board member, and a woman in a rhinestone tracksuit, pointing at my porch like she was orchestrating a military invasion. What on earth was happening? Then came the gut punch. The deputy bellowed, "We have reports you're squatting on private rental property belonging to Mrs. Brenda Hayes." Brenda Hayes? My mind reeled. I owned this place outright. Who was Brenda Hayes? Oh, where do I even begin to explain how I, Tom Miller, found myself facing half the police force at my own front door? I'm a semi-retired software engineer, and my log cabin in Cedar Ridge Hollow has been my sanctuary since I'd paid off the entire 3 acres of beautiful wooded land 8 years ago, enjoying my quiet life, tending the walking trails, and occasionally showing local kids the wonders of the night sky with my telescope. Everything changed when the nearby Meadowstone Estates subdivision began its unofficial expansion. That's when Brenda Hayes burst into my life, the newly elected HOA president, a self-proclaimed vacation rental mogul, and the proud owner of an Instagram account called Brenda's Blissful Retreat. She'd unilaterally decided that all the unincorporated land around Meadowstone Estates needed her supervision, and my cabin was squarely in her sights. Her first approach in early March was cloaked in a syrupy sweet community partnership gossip. She arrived at my door, a fake smile plastered on her face, clutching a binder thicker than a phone book. "Your charming rustic home," she cooed, "would be absolutely perfect for premier guest rentals and curated mountain experiences." She actually used curated 3 times in one sentence. I politely declined even offering her some coffee, which she sniffily refused, because it wasn't organic, fair trade, single origin. I should have known right then the nightmare I was dealing with. A week later she returned, flanked by 2 other HOA board members, armed with a folder full of what she called easement opportunities, and a color-coded spreadsheet titled Q2 Cabin Revenue Projections. She spoke to me with that condescending tone people use when they think you're too dim to grasp their brilliance. "Your property is underutilized, Tom," she declared. "We could be generating $15,000 monthly in passive income." My politeness wore thin. I firmly told her my property was not, and never would be, part of her HOA. That's when the games began. A "Welcome to Brenda's Mountain Retreat" sign mysteriously appeared at the end of my private driveway. I tore it down. It reappeared the very next day, affixed with industrial-strength adhesive. Strangers started showing up at all hours, demanding check-in instructions. Can you believe one couple from Denver actually had a confirmation email and receipt for a 3-night stay? Then my mailbox was replaced overnight with a decorative, moose-shaped monstrosity. I have security footage of Brenda herself, dressed in all black like some suburban ninja, installing it at 2 in the morning. I called the county sheriff, who shrugged and said it was a civil matter. The Postal Service told me to file a complaint online, but Brenda was just getting warmed up. She listed my cabin on 7 different rental sites, complete with professional photos that weren't even of my property. The interior shots showed a completely different cabin, boasting a hot tub and marble countertops, things mine definitely lacks. The description promised mountain luxury with concierge service and complimentary wine tastings. She even concocted fake 5-star reviews from people named Madison B. and Tyler K., raving about the transformative mountain experience. But Memorial Day weekend, that's when she went absolutely nuclear. She had apparently double-booked my cabin to 4 different groups, simultaneously, pocketing deposits totaling $8,000. When the first family showed up Friday evening, I had to explain, no, I wasn't the caretaker, no, they couldn't come in, and no, there wasn't a welcome basket with artisanal cheeses waiting for them. By Sunday, I'd turned away 12 different groups, all waving confirmation emails from Brenda's various fake hospitality accounts. I documented everything, every interaction, every trespasser, every single fake listing. I even sent cease and desist letters through my attorney. Brenda's response: she filed a police report claiming I was a dangerous squatter who had broken into her rental property and was refusing to leave. She told them she'd owned the cabin for 5 years and that I was just a disgruntled former tenant who had changed the law. She even manufactured fake lease agreements with my forged signature, which of course brings us back to that unbelievable Saturday morning with the deputies at my door. Despite my blood pressure probably hitting stroke levels, I remained eerily calm. I invited Officer Jenkins inside, and with a flourish, pulled out my filing cabinet. "Here's my deed from 2004, I said, laying it on the table. "Here are 20 years of property tax receipts. Here's the mortgage satisfaction letter from Here's my homeowner's insurance policy. And here," I added with a satisfied grin, "is security footage of Brenda trespassing on my property 16 times in the last month, including this gem where she's measuring my deck, while saying on the phone that the yoga platform will generate an extra $50 per booking." Officer Jenkins's expression morphed from suspicious to confused, and then to pure fury, but not at me. He stepped outside and I heard him speaking sharply to Brenda. "Mrs. Hayes, you filed a false police report. That's a felony. You provided fraudulent documents. That's another felony. You've been collecting money for a property you don't own. That's fraud and theft." Brenda's voice shot up 3 octaves. "But he's not using it properly," she shrieked. "The community needs this space. I have a business plan." I watched through the window as she frantically pulled out her phone, trying to start an Instagram live stream. She narrated to her followers that she was being persecuted for her entrepreneurial vision and that the corrupt system was protecting property hoarders. That's when Officer Jenkins had heard enough. "Mrs. Hayes, you're under arrest for filing a false police report, criminal fraud, theft by deception, and criminal trespass." The look on her face was absolutely priceless. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "But I'm the HOA president," she sputtered as they cuffed her. "I have a leadership award from the Meadowstone Ladies Auxiliary. This is discrimination against female entrepreneurs." The other board member who had come with her actually started recording, muttering something about calling an emergency meeting to discuss her removal. The arrest video went viral within hours. Someone in the Meadowstone Estates Facebook group posted it with a caption, "HOA president arrested for trying to steal neighbor's cabin." The comments section exploded. It turns out Brenda had been pulling similar schemes with other property. 3 other homeowners came forward, sharing stories of her trying to forcibly incorporate their homes into her rental empire. Can you believe one elderly couple said she had actually listed their garden shed as a tiny home romantic getaway? By Monday, the full sickening scope of Brenda's crimes became horrifyingly clear. She had collected over $40,000 in deposits for my cabin alone. She had created 12 different rental listings across multiple platforms and forged documents, not just for my property, but for 6 others. The district attorney charged her with 37 separate counts, including organized fraud, identity theft, and racketeering. Yes, racketeering, like she was some kind of suburban mob boss. Her Instagram account, Brenda's Blissful Retreats, plummeted, losing 10,000 followers in just 2 days. The comments on her last post, ironically about manifesting abundance through property wisdom, were brutal. Someone even dug up the fact that she didn't own her own house, but was actually renting a condo 2 towns over. The HOA board held an emergency meeting that Tuesday and voted unanimously to remove her as president, banning her from all HOA properties and events in perpetuity. But the absolute best part came during her arraignment. The judge, reviewing the mountain of charges and evidence, actually laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full booming laugh. "Mrs. Hayes," the judge declared, "you essentially tried to run an Airbnb empire with other people's houses, without their knowledge or consent. That's not entrepreneurship, that's theft." Her lawyer tried to argue that she had made improvements to the properties by marketing them, but the judge swiftly cut him off. "Marketing someone else's property without permission isn't an improvement, counsel, it's fraud." Brenda tried to speak for herself, which her lawyer desperately tried to prevent. "Your Honor," she whined, "I was simply maximizing underutilized resources in a difficult economy. These properties were sitting empty on weekends when families could be making memory." The judge's response was chillingly swift. "Mrs. Hayes, You're looking at potential prison time of up to 15 years and fines exceeding $200,000. The only memories being made here are going to be yours in a federal correctional facility. And right then in the courtroom, Brenda fainted. She just collapsed like someone had unplugged her. They had to call paramedics and everything. When she came around, she was muttering about her vision board and how this wasn't how her manifestation journal said things would go. The bailiff actually had to carry her out because she refused to walk, claiming her chakras were misaligned from the negative energy of the justice.